Hi, and welcome to Yoga with Becs. This is a yoga hip opener flow. I'm Becca, and today I'm in the Dominican Republic. Spinal Safety Awareness is there's some forward flexion in this practice, so please do the description below before starting. Now grab your mat, and let's find your space. Please join me on your mat in all fours. Shoulders over wrists, hips over knees. Finding that flat back wall, natural curve in the back. We're going to start with a few cat-cows. Just warm up the back and the hips. So let's start by taking a deep breath in as we tilt our pelvis in, arching the back, chest forward, looking up. Tilt the pelvis under, round the back, breathe out, and let the head and shoulders hang. Deep breath in. And deep breath out. Deep breath in. The movement is always starting from the hips. Deep breath out. One more time. Come back and join me in neutral. Now to come into downward dog, we're going to start in child. So sit back on your heels. Stretch your arms out all the way forward. And this is going to give you your positioning for down dog. So now where your hands are, come forward, keep the hands there, tuck the toes under, pressing the hips up and back to find your down dog. So we're engaging our shoulder blades here, feeling those lats working, the upper back. Stretch your shoulders wide, relax your neck. Hips are pulling up, up, up and back. You can keep a bend in your knees here if you need. And try and let your heels fall down to the ground. Let gravity pull them. Your hips are pulling up and back. Fingers pressing into the ground, each fingertip. And your neck is relaxed. My feet are hip width apart. You can have your feet together or hip width apart. To do our next pose, we're going to want to bring our feet together. Take one deep breath here. Now let's bring the feet a little together, or all the way, so that we can do one-legged dog. So keeping those hips pulled up and back, we're going to shift our weight onto our left leg and point our right toe, stretch it all the way up as high as you can go. So maintaining that downward dog, hips are pulling up and back, but you're extending that right leg, pointing the toe, stretching all the way up, strong through the shoulders, pressing into the fingers. Now take a deep breath in, swing the leg forward, coming into plank, knee touching your elbow. Same knee, same elbow. Breathing out, up to down dog again. Breathing in. Knee to elbow, and breathing out, hips pulling up and back, stretching up through that toe, breathing in, and breathing out. Now breathing in, knee to the elbow. This time bring your foot to the outside of your hands. We're going to lower our left knee down. We're coming into lizard. So our hands are firmly planted on the ground. Our front knee is connected to our arm. We're opening up through the chest, letting that left hip sink down to the ground with gravity. And hold for a few breaths here. For 1, and 2, and 3. Tuck that back toe under. We're gonna press, engage in that left foot. Bring the right foot all the way up, swing it all the way up into one-legged dog again, stretching up to the ceiling, pressing through those shoulder blades. Engage. And then coming back, bring the right foot down into a normal downward dog. Hips pulling up and back. Heels are falling to the ground. Take a deep breath here. Now we're going to bring that same leg up, stretching up into one-legged dog, reaching up as high as you can go. And now bend that knee, bend the right knee and open up through the hips. You're going to open up to the side to point that knee up to the ceiling. Keep your shoulders parallel to the ground, opening up through the hips, pressing those hips up and back, right knee opening. And then relax that top knee, focusing on the rest of your body to hold the pose, and let that right knee fall out. Let the weight of your right leg pull it back, open up through the hips. Now take a deep breath, swing that knee, right knee all the way in between your hands. We're going to come into pigeon here. So we've got our right knee between our hands. You can keep your right foot flexed. And we're going to let our hips sink down. So we look up, opening our chest up. So we're keeping our body weight on top of our hips, letting them sink down into the ground, letting gravity pull them. Using our hands, just a little bit of pressure to open up through the chest. You feel a really nice stretch through the hip and the glute here. Just hold for 1 and 2 and 3. All right, now connect through those hands again. Tuck your left toe under. Press it into the ground, bring that knee up so that we can use hands and foot to again come back up. Stretch that right leg all the way up one more time, one-legged dog. Bring it down. Regular downward dog, hips up and back. Lower the knees down and come down into child's rest time. So it's sitting back onto our feet. Let our forehead fall down to the mat if it's able. Bringing the arms down to your sides. Arms outstretched behind you. Palms facing up. Reach back, relax them, let them hang, and let those shoulders droop down and relax. Let's take 3 breaths here. Hold for 1. And 2. And 3. Very nice. Now let's do the other side. Let's bring our hands forward, arms outstretched, palms flat on the ground. This is our perfect position to enter downward dog. So hands are shoulder width apart. Press those fingertips into the ground. Come up onto your knees. Tuck your toes under. Pressing hips up and back. Find that downward dog. Straighten your knees if you can. Let those heels fall to the ground. Pressing into the fingertips to push the hips up and back. Neck is relaxed. Give a little nod. Okay, now we're going to come into one-legged dog on the other side. So making sure that your right foot is pretty centered. Bring your feet together if you're not together. Balance your weight into your right foot and your hands. Point that left toe and stretch it up as high as it can go, keeping your hips as parallel to the ground as you can. Pressing up and back through the hands, stretching that leg up to the sky. Let's hold for 1 and 2 and 3. Now we're going to swing our knee in forward. Take a deep breath in, knee to elbow. And breathe out, coming back into one leg down dog, stretching that leg up high, pressing into that right foot. Breathing in, knee to elbow, and breathe out, hips pulling up and back into one leg down dog. One more time, breathing in into plank, knee to elbow, and breathing out, stretching that leg all the way up as high as it can go. Now this time, breathe in, knee to the elbow, but plant your foot on the outside of your feet. Left foot outside the left hand, knee touching shoulder. Bring your right knee down to the ground, release the toes. Now open up to the chest and let gravity pull your hips down. Let your right hip relax into the ground. We're going to hold here for 1. And 2, strong through the hands. Open up the chest, look forward. And 3, breathe into those hips, into the groin. Good. Now we're going to come back. So tuck that back toe under. Straighten the leg, and then use your weight in your hands and that foot to come all the way up to one leg down dog again. Hips are pressing up and back. Now from here, we're going to bend that top knee and then open up the hips to that side, keeping your shoulders parallel to the ground, opening up through the hip. Your left knee is pointing up to the sky. Hips are still pressing up and back, and let the weight of that top knee falling to a little bit behind open up through the hips. Let's hold for 1. And 2. Hips pressing up and back, strong through that leg, strong through the fingers and shoulders. All right. Now let's bring that knee up to your elbow into plank. And this time, bring your knee all the way between your hands into pigeon. We're going to release the back toes. You might want to wiggle that knee back a little bit. We're going to use our hands for support here. We're going to try and keep our weight over our hips. We can let that sink in. Keeping our hips parallel as much as we can. So you may need your hands to support you if you're sitting up a little higher. Otherwise, you can let that sink down. Just use your hands for a little support. Open up through the chest. Let's hold for 1. You should feel a deep stretch through your left glute, into the groin. And 2. Opening up through the chest, looking forward. And 3. And we're going to return again. So pressing into those fingertips, tuck the back toes under. And with those 3 points, pressing all the way up and back. One-legged dog, hips pulling up and back. Stretching that toe up to the sky. Beautiful. Now coming down to both-legged, two-legged downward dog. And just hold for a deep breath here. Hips pulling up and back. Heels coming down with gravity. Bend the knees, lower them down to the mat. And again, come down into child's. So sitting back onto your heels, folding forward over your legs. Your forehead can touch the ground. Let it come all the way down. Arms are by your sides, palms facing up. Stretch them back and then let them relax. Hands are on the ground, shoulders are hanging. Let's take a few deep breaths here. Just breathing into your back. Feeling how your body feels. Breathing into any points of tension. All right. Take a deep breath in. You can use your hands to press yourself back up. Sitting on your heels. We're going to do one more beautiful hip opener stretch. So come down onto your back on the mat. All the way down. Let's keep our knees bent, feet on the mat. We're going to come into happy baby. So we're going to bring our knees into our chest and kind of aim them at your armpits. Flex your feet, press them up to the sky. If you can, grab a hold of the outside of your foot. And from here, our goal is to keep our hips on the ground as much as we can. Feet as if you're standing on the sky, and pull those knees into your armpits. Get a nice opening through the groin, through the hips. Try and keep those hips connected to the ground. Get a nice engagement between your hands, pulling down your feet, feet pressing into your hands. Hold for 1. Breathe into the groin. And 2. And 3. Pull those feet down. Perfect. Release. Relax. Let's gently come up to seated. And join me in a nice comfortable seated position. So let's take a moment just to thank ourselves for coming to the mat today, for opening up through our hips. And take a moment to thank your body for supporting you. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this practice. I hope your hips feel a little looser now. Please feel free to take this practice, connect it to any other ones, make a little playlist, add a Savasana at the end. Please add a Savasana, and have a beautiful day.